What's up, y'all? Welcome back out to the bench in the backyard. Today I'm going to try my hand at making some cement pots. So concrete pots, I guess. Went to the up to Lowe's and grabbed a big ass bag of Portland cement, bag of sand over there. We'll be using the sand for two different things. So I'm going to be doing two different styles of concrete pot. One of them is going to be kind of more like a slab style. I got some rebar and some of this hardware cloth. It's basically just stainless steel that's been tack welded together. It's a 1/4 inch by a 1/4 inch, and this whole tube is like $15. I'm not going to use most of it. Bag of cement was like $12. So I've also got a big giant piece of extra plywood, and that's going to be doing the second style. So the first style, I'm going to basically take this rebar, bend it into a shape kind of like what I want, and then we're going to put some of this hardware cloth over the top and use this as the base to hold our concrete together. It'll also give it a little bit of strength. So we'll put concrete from the top, concrete from the bottom, and this will basically be like rebar in a building. And this rebar will just be there to kind of set the base and hold it all into shape. So that'll be one style. The second style, I'm going to take a piece of plywood and we'll cut some blanks, and then we're going to take some wet sand and we'll make a little template so that we can make the shape that we want. And I'll show you how I do that. That should be fairly straightforward, and with that you can make whatever shape you want. Square or rectangle pot would be super easy to do. Let's just measure it out and cut it. Circles, fairly easy, straightforward. For that we'll need a little bit of string and some screws, and I'll show you how to do that. We'll get into that. I'm gonna go set up over there where I've got a table that's a little bit bigger than my potting bench, because I don't have anywhere. I can't just set this big giant piece of plywood up on it. And so we'll go over there, get into that. But until then, I'll see y'all in just a sec. What's up, y'all? I'm over here at the table. It's nice in the shade. Like my potting bench over there. So what I've got is just a little piece of 3/8 inch plywood. There's another piece underneath. That way when I drill down into it, or screw down into it, that it doesn't go in hitting this wrought iron table underneath. Okay, so for simple shapes, squares, rectangles, triangles, it's real easy. Just measure it out, cut it, done. But for more complex shapes, circles and ovals, what we're going to actually be doing is we'll be taking the string and a couple of screws. And what we'll do, real easy, for a circle, one screw right down in the middle, wherever. We'll put it over here. That way you can actually see it. So I guess I could work over here on this corner. And just make sure that that other piece of plywood's underneath where we're going to be screwing in. All right, so for a circle, it's real easy. Take one screw, that's going the right way. All right, take your one screw, put it in. And this string, it's just a simple loop right here. It's just a simple overhand knot. That way we can shorten it or lengthen it however long we want. For a circle base, your radius is going to come out to this knot. So however wide you want it, that's how long we're going to make this. But we got to remember We're going to do about a 1/2 inch of concrete and about a 1/2 inch overlap so that we can take our template and we'll do a little bit of shaping of that concrete. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to come out here to this edge. That's, I mean, you can do this as small or as big as you want. If you're going to be making like a little very, very small, like 2, 4, maybe a 5-inch pot, you could probably just do that one by hand with a pot or with a bowl. What I want to do is, where did I, here's my marker. What we're going to do, we just want to make sure that this is fairly tight. And this is about 8 inches, so that would make a 16-inch big round. But remember, we're taking about 2 inches off of it because 1/2 inch of concrete, half inch of concrete, a 1/2 inch overlap, and a 1/2 inch of overlap. So that's taking 2 off. So if that's 8, we're really getting a 7-inch radius. If you want it smaller, like you want a 7-inch diameter, you go down to about a 3.5 plus 2 inches, or plus 1 inch, since it's a radius and not a diameter. And that would give us about a 7-inch round. So all I would do is come down here and just hold that there. Keep the pen straight up and down. This way, if you don't have a compass that's big enough, there we have. Big circle. We just cut that out with a jigsaw, coping saw, something like that. What I want to do though, is I want an oval pot. Those are just as easy. It just takes 1 extra screw. So if we come over here, put a second screw in. And the wider these are apart, the more exaggerated your oval is going to be. The longer it's going to be and the narrower it's going to be. All right, and so with this, again, we're going to take our loop and come around here and put it around both of them. And that way, when we come out, fell down a little bit. Come out like this. I must have pulled on it. But there you see, we've got an oval here. So the circle, this one, that was just around the one. But if we go around 2 of them with a loop, you see it makes this oval. And you can do that any size you want. Just take your loop, make it bigger, and then you go around it like that. The longer the string is in relation to this, the wider it's going to be. So if you want a really narrow pot, you basically want to come down really shallow, and then you're only going to come out this far from that, but out here you're going to be over here. I mean, if you want it super long and super narrow, there's only so close you can get. But being able to do that, just widening these out a little bit more would give you a lot more defined shape. I don't know what it would look like as far as that goes, but what I'm going to try, because it just want to see what a rounded triangle would look like with this same setup. And come over here. See what that actually does. I don't know if it'll do anything. It'll probably just turn it into a big circle with the center point there. I'm not sure. Let's find out. That is what it looks like. Just a big giant circle. Except my string came off the thing. Alright, so yeah, that's going to be a circle. That didn't work out how I wanted it to, I guess. There's a house down the street that's got a little dogwood grove in it, but it's kind of triangular, so I guess I could just cut that out by hand and maybe just radius the corners. So yeah, I'll do that, I guess. So what I'll do is I'll get a couple blanks cut out, just showing you how I draw them out. And then, I mean, if you ever have done any tracing, just trace that with a jigsaw or a coping saw or something like that. And I'll get a bunch of templates cut out, and then I'll get on to what we do from there. All right, I'll see you on a bit. All right, what's up, y'all? So I've got all of my, I got a bunch of blanks cut out. I did this just the same way, drilled 2 holes, drew it out, cut it out, used a jigsaw. You could use a coping saw or a router or whatever you need to use. This one's a slightly bigger oval. It's not quite as oblong as the other one was. And I've got another big one, another oval. You can make these in any shape you want. They can be straight-sided. You can cut them in a square, rectangle, hexagon, octagon, whatever size you want. And with that little string trick, you can make your ovals wide and narrow, however you want to do it. You can make circles, you can make whatever shape. So today I'm going to be doing one. It's going to be this little small oval. I also cut out a bunch of little templates. So this is actually the inside. What we'll do with these is we'll actually set them on the outside. It's got a little notch right here. And you can cut these into any shape you want to. But what we'll do is we'll put it up against the edge like that with this little notch tagged in. And you just scrape along the outside, keeping this basically straight in. And we'll go around like this. This one is for doing the inside layer. And then you can cut out your outside layer, whatever shape you want. You can do a little complex shape like this, just a straight curve like this one, and you can do them in any size. So this from here to down here is 2 inches. So that'll be a 2-inch depth pot. It can be whatever size you want. You can use this 2-inch on a big 4 or 5 foot round circle if you really wanted to, and just have a really shallow pot. These are 4 inches from top to bottom, and again, you can do them in any complex shape you want, or simple shape. This would be the inside of it. That would be the outside, just a little straight walled, curved, a little bit more complex, a little bit more complex. I've also got some 6-inch deeps, so that would be the inside of the pot, 6 inches. Then outside, the outside of the pot, outside of the pot. But yeah, So what we're gonna do, since we're doing this little small one, you can do it in any size you want, but I'm gonna be doing a little 2-inch. And with this one, I think we're gonna go with this little bit more complex. I'm gonna do a couple of these. I'll only show you on one of them, and then we'll move on to the next style of pot. All right, so first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna take this and our inside form. The way I did the inside form is they're all gonna be just the straight side. I don't have any that have undercuts. It's just because I've only been doing this for a year, I don't really want to deal with having to finagle those roots out of an undercut pot. So what we're going to do is I've got a bunch of wet sand. It's just regular old play sand from the store. We're going to build up a little mound. And then all you do is you take your form and shove it up against the side. You need a lot more sand than that, obviously. And again, we'll push in. I guess I should explain. So the way this is going to work is everything that you see right there is going to actually be the cement. We'll actually come in up here and cut down a little bit. We want to leave about a 1/2 inch of cement there, but to make our little foot. So this cut right here is about 1 inch. This cut right here is about a 1/2 inch, and that's going to leave us with a 1/2 inch at the top of our pot. So we just come in. Oh. Need to pack it in a little bit more. And we can come back in and add a little bit more sand up at the top, which we're going to have to do. But just to get the basic shape, we'll make a couple of passes at this. Pack it down a little bit. I know we need a little bit more up here. And again, we'll just make sure that that tab is stuffed into the to the side of that little blank. And what I'm doing to know where I need stuff is, if you look at it, you can see there's a gap right here. And from the back, looking down at it, it's a lot easier to see because I'm looking straight at a piece of plywood. So we'll put a good stack in there. Make sure and press it in. We need the same over here. So that's going to be the inside shape of our pot. Pick it up so it's a little bit easier to see. So that's going to be the inside of our pot. And because this is sand, once the concrete is set, we can just dig this out. This sand will be reusable in case we get any of the cement soaks into some of the sand. It won't soak entirely in. All right, so what I have here, it's going to be 4 parts Portland, or 1 part Portland cement to 2 parts sand. It's just that same plain sand that we used for the wet sand to make our bases. And then a little bit of Portland cement. We'll come in here, mix it up. I've also got some colorant that we're going to add. You can do it just plain like this. It'll just be your normal gray cement. But I've got some colorant that I wanted to add. Just play around with that a little bit. So they're not all exactly the same, you know. And then what we have is your normal cement color. But I've got a couple of colors. One's going to be the terracotta, and one's going to be charcoal. That would just darken it up a bit. What I want to do for these, I wanted to make it look, for the smaller ones, yeah, just bright orange colorant. And what we're going to do, add a little bit and see how that does. I put in about a tablespoon, I guess. You can make it whatever color you want. 1 whole tub of this is supposed to be enough to do an 80-pound bag of concrete or cement. A little bit more. So that's about what I put in the first time. I'm going to do it again twice. So now I've got about 3 tablespoons, maybe 4 or 5 tablespoons in here. Mix that around. Doesn't look like it's going to add a whole lot of color to it. So what I put in here was about 1 quart of cement and 2 quarts of sand. And you don't have to use this color. And what I did is added just enough water to kind of bring it in together. And it's actually fairly orange. Needs a little bit more water. You want it to kind of hold together. You don't want it to be all mostly dry. Not a lot of water. A little bit more water. Yeah, add just a little bit of water at a time, and that way you're not putting too much in there and it'll still hold together. Alright, so that's all mixed up. And that's really what you're looking for. You want it to kind of set up, because there's going to be parts that are basically vertical. So for this one, I think I'm going to be using this curved one, and for the other one, we'll use the slightly more complex shape. And so we'll go right there and just wrap it around. Do the same thing going all the way around, and then eventually, once we get this outside kind of put together, we'll go in with our little slide mold. We want to get as many of these cracks out as we can. And I'm using gloves because the chemical reaction that's going on, concrete doesn't set because it's just a paste that dries. It actually sets because there's a chemical reaction going on that creates a crystal lattice. And that's what actually makes the concrete stiff, is that chemical reaction, not the drying of the concrete, you know. So it will actually get oh no, I forgot to put oil down on this, didn't I? Yep, I sure did. Well, this frame might be done for. I'll make sure to do it on the other one. We might just cut that out. So we've made our feet. All right. So now what we're going to do, I've got just this little copper fitting. It's a 1 3/4. So this side's 3/4. This side's 1 inch. I've also got one that is going to be a 1/2 inch by. All right. So here it is. It's the next day. It's been a little over 24 hours since we did this. I don't know, my camera died the other day and I didn't go in and look at it yet. Don't know if you saw me actually put these holes in. Basically what I did was I have this piece of copper. It's just a copper fitting
So I got one that was it's a 1 inch to 3/4. That way I can do multiple different sized holes. So if I want to do a single hole, I could do the 1 inch hole in the middle, or 3/4. I've also got one that is a 1/2 inch or 3/8, and depending on the size pot you have and the size of the drainage holes that you want, you can use whatever size that you need it to. But so gonna go in here, peel it off of this. Oh, okay. So that came off real easy. Throw that back in our sandbox, and we can reuse that for the insides anytime that we need to. But all we're going to do is go in here, scrape the sand off the inside. And I'm not real happy with the actual texture of my concrete, my cement. I wasn't able to smooth it out. That could be because of the grit of the sand. This play sand's pretty coarse. Over here, it's really coarse sand, so that could be a problem. I could get try it with a finer grit sand, and maybe adjusting my my ratio a little bit so that there's more cement to the sand. But other than that, I'm pretty pleased with how this one came out. There's a little bit up in this corner right here where it wasn't quite smooth. Yeah, right up here. So with the texture, and that's a pretty big crack. So this one might not make it through a winter. If water gets down in there and expands, then this thing will just shatter. So yeah, I'm gonna have to work on my my concrete mix. This one's not super, but you learn, you figure it out, and you adjust. Now this is the one that I did yesterday, actually on video. I did this one off video. I did not remember to actually oil this board. When you get the sand, when you get your sand down, after you get the sand down, you go in and you take a little bit of either cooking oil or olive oil or something like that, and you brush the edge. So nope, this one isn't stuck down either. That's good. That was surprising. I thought I messed up real bad there. But so that's the board. Nothing stuck to it. We can take a little bit of sandpaper and we'll scrape off all that. And we got this board, this bowl. Let's hope I don't have any major cracks in it. And this one we can actually use. The other one might be useful. I've got a few more. I get a few tropical species that I grew from seed. So for something that would be going inside, that one would be okay. And they're all grown from seed. I planted those this spring. So hopefully I could use that for one of those. And that way it's something that goes inside during the winter. I don't have to worry about the water getting down in there and freezing. But yeah, with this one, I used the 1-inch hole. Made the 1-inch hole there. And to do these tie down holes, I just took a chopstick, stuck it down in there, and so yeah, those holes go all the way up. But it doesn't look too bad. Alright, so what I'm going to do is I'll rinse both of these out, and then every few days over the next month or so, I'm going to like spray them down real good, because what you want to do, you want to leach out as much of that of the lime as you can. Otherwise you're basically salting your plants. It's just rebar that I bent in 3 places on each one of them. It's 2 of them, tied them together, made this little kind of U-shaped little thing. Pick it up, show you. So it creates kind of this little valley between 2 hills. We're going to kind of push it down. I want to kind of have this little depression right here. This one is probably going to be for my Dawn redwoods. You know, kind of just growing out. Have like a stand here, maybe a stand over here, and we'll figure out something over here. But this one was really easy to put together. I just tied it down with a little bit of aluminum wire. You can get the stainless steel stuff, but once it's encased in the cement, that should not be a big problem of it coming loose. That's mainly there just to hold it together while the cement cures, and once the cement's cured, nothing's going anywhere. Then we're going to take our charcoal cement color. Looks like that. This will just darken out that base layer. Then we'll do a couple of little small batches, some with a little bit of this in it and some that's just straight cement. That way we can get some different colors, and we're not all in one uniform color. Alright, so we've got a nice little dark one. Alright, so we're going to start on this gradual one right here. And then we'll move over and do the other one. So I can only get one of these in shot at a time. So let's just see what we got. Doesn't need to be super thick. We just want to make sure that we smooth out any cracks. We just need to wind up pressing them together like this. And anything that dribbles off the bottom, we'll come back, scrape that up, and make sure that we press a bit more in. not staying super well. I guess what I'm going to do is I'll get this top done, and then we'll go worry about the bottom in a minute. Alright, so I just mixed up a little bit of plain cement. It's just cement and water. This is cement, water, and a little bit of that charcoal coloring. And I just cement and enough water to get it to this consistency. And that's it. We'll put this along the high points. Interesting. I don't know how well you can see that, but if you're looking quickly, kind of looks like an actual rock, except for maybe right in here. We'll see how it looks when it dries out, but just with splattering it like that, I don't know if you've ever been to the mountains of western North Carolina or upstate South Carolina or eastern Tennessee or anywhere like that. But the limestone that is out looks a whole lot like that. So we'll see what it looks like when it dries out. I'll come do a checkup on it tomorrow. But yeah, I mean, this looks better than I thought it might. I'm glad I did this one first and not the other one, because I definitely didn't have enough sand to make any more cement that would cover that one, and it's much, much bigger. So we'll see how we do with this. The bottom, it's going to have some exposed metal. I'm gonna have to figure out a different way to do that. I might wind up having to build like a jig out of like plywood or something, and just like bend that, I guess. I don't know. I'll have to figure something out. But I'd love to be able to make more of these, because it's thin. Sorry, it's thin, so it won't be quite as heavy as a normal slab would be. But hopefully, with that metal in there, it'll actually hold its shape fairly well. Especially once it sets. I mean, once it sets, it's basically stone. So we'll see about that. All right. So I'm back out here at the bench. I've got these all rinsed out. You can see some cracking in here. That's going to be from the consistency of my mix. It wasn't quite right. So I'm going to have to work on that. The size of the sand is probably part of the problem, and my ratio of cement to sand is probably a little bit of the problem, as well as the amount of water. It was fairly dry. I wanted, because I mean, you're trying to get it to stay straight up and down. Sometimes you don't want it to be too loose or it'll just flow off. So I'm gonna have to work on my my ratios, and I'll eventually let y'all know what conclusion I come to. But you can see there is some cracking in here, and so these I'm probably gonna have to use for tropicals, if I use them at all. I've got some tropicals over here, some that I started from seed. Got a couple of silk mimosas and some Judas trees over there. But I'll use those. I'll use these for those. That way they don't sit out in the cold. You know, that's really the problem with those cracks. The main problem with those cracks is if you get water down in there and they freeze and the water expands as the ice freezes, you'll get your bowls just falling apart. So these will probably be relegated to tropicals. Could be okay. Might do. We'll see. Those won't be ready to go into a pot for another year or two anyway. Might wind up putting those in the ground. I don't know, because I'm in 8A, USDA zone 8A, so it does get fairly cold. We had a couple of days last year, got down into the teens, so those might not like that too much, so they'll probably be living inside during the winter. But if that happens, then these will be perfectly good for them. They won't freeze, or they won't have the problem of them shattering when they freeze. So I'll work on my mix, my ratios, maybe find a better sand, because this sand was really, really coarse. So yeah, all right, y'all. So it's been a day since we did this. It seems pretty sturdy. The underside, a little ugly, but it's got the stainless steel. I could go in and put a layer of concrete on the top, on the bottom, but I want to see how it holds up, I guess. If it doesn't work out, I'm not going to be planning on it for at least a year, maybe a little bit longer than that, maybe a year and a half. So we shall see. Actually, no, I think this is the one that I wanted to use for the Dawn Redwood. So it'll be 3 or 4 years before I actually use it. I want to see how it holds up. You can still see the stainless steel mesh underneath. I'm going to have to figure out some way to do this. What I may wind up doing is building like a jig that I can press the mesh down on and kind of form it that way, and put some standoffs and just basically fill it with concrete. And that way I can let that cure, and we'll just build a stand for it. The stand is kind of built in, but it should hold, I guess. I mean, we'll find out. Worst thing happens is I don't use it, and it costs me about maybe $15-20 to build. Once you put everything in, I've still got a bunch of the mesh left over, so we'll see. But the look of it from the top, which is all that really matters, is not bad. From far away, it kind of looks like actual rock. If you get up close, you can kind of see where the splashes are. I don't know how well that's coming through. A little bit over here. But yeah, you can kind of see where it's pulled up a little bit and some of the overflow, but switching back and forth with the same color. The dark got a little bit lighter, but the light got a lot darker, which is kind of nice. But I like the way it turned out, at least the look of it. But yeah, so that turned out kind of nice. I like it. I'm gonna have to figure out if this actually will hold up over the next couple of years before I actually do anything with it. If it doesn't, then yeah, I'll build a little jig and try and form it a little bit better. Well, I mean, I like the form. I like the shapes. It looks pretty organic. It doesn't really look like it's man-made. If you look at just the part of it that's not squared off, obviously, that's obviously looks fake. But yeah, from far away, it looks pretty nice. Up close, you can kind of tell that it's just kind of splatter painted. But I mean, not bad for the first try on this kind of deal. Two formed pots. They don't look horrible. I mean, obviously the cracking on the inside is not going to work out for anything that would be left outside. And the texture is not what I was going for. I don't mind it too terribly bad. It looks okay. But I want to be able to do it so that it is a smoother surface. And to do that, I'm going to have to work on my mix, find a finer grade of sand. This one is very coarse. You can see the little bits of sand in there, but yeah. So, I mean, that was my first try at doing something like this. Until I get this mixed down, most of what I'll probably be doing is something along the lines of this big one. Just because these don't look quite the way I wanted them to. It's fine, but they'll work out. But this bigger one, because, I mean, something this size in a bonsai pot would be, or just a stone for bonsai would be at least $100, $150, $200. If you want something that's kind of shaped like this with the valley in the middle, it would probably run you even more than that. Plus, it would be so heavy that I wouldn't be able to just pick it up and move it around. And So this is nice to be able to move everything wherever I want it to reposition. It'll be easier to build a stand for. They can just go on a pedestal stand, just a wider pedestal, I guess, instead of having to kind of engineer something. It can just go on a nice little small pedestal, like a little 4x4 pedestal that I could just build easily. I don't know if I showed you. If you look down right here, what I did is I took one of my little palette knives and just put the tip in. That way I could have some tie down points. So what I'll do is I'll run wire from here to here, wire from here to here, and then wire from each of them. And that way I'll have basically wire going across, making this little diamond that I can then tie my tie down wires to. And that way, when I need to tie something into the pot, I can just tie down to those wires, and we'll have little, what I want to do with this is basically a copse of trees coming up in this little valley. And I may do something up here or up here, but with this big copse coming up out of the center, kind of sticking up over the top of these two mounds. So yeah, that is what I did with these, and I generally like the way that it turned out, and kind of like the color pattern. It's not too glaring unless you get real up close to it. From a good distance away, it looks like natural stone. So I'm stoked about that. Gonna have to work on these edges. There's a few places where there is that metal mesh sticking out. I'll just go in, clip that off, and we'll go from there. But as it is, I mean, it's pretty solid. As long as that mesh in the bottom doesn't rust through. It's a stainless steel mesh, so it might take it a while, and by that point it might be time to move on to a different slab anyway, because the concrete may just disintegrate from that point. I don't know. So yeah, if y'all want to see more of this, let me know down in the comments, and I will try my best at maybe building up a little jig. I might get some some foam, like insulation foam, the thick pink foam or green foam or whatever, or just craft foam, whatever, and try and build up something similar that I can kind of shape that mesh down onto, and then we'll put some little risers on it, like I said, and that way we can totally encase that that wire mesh, and that way we won't have as big of a problem. I can just basically pour the cement down on or concrete down on top of it, and we'll have basically a uniform thickness. I'd probably do the top basically the same way, just kind of rubbing it so that it has a decent texture to it, and then just hit it with the colored cement. I really like the way this turned out. I really do. I don't see any major cracks up in here. Oh, there's a small crack right there. Or maybe that's just... Nah, that's a crack right there. So there is a crack going from here over to here. It travels like that. We'll see how this holds up though. I'll leave it out this winter just to see if that gets worse, and if it does, then I will definitely be making another one. But if it holds up,
I may just cover that with moss or some kind of muck or something to just basically hide that little spot. But that is the only crack that I am seeing. I do not see anything. Oh, there's another one right there. So a crack here and a crack here. But other than that, I don't see anything. Well, alright. I guess until the next time I see you out here at the bench in the backyard, just remember to grow them big, but keep them small.